Yo, 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 coming to you live from humid and hot Philadelphia, PA, aka Title Town, USA, home of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, home of the two-time NCAA champions, Villanova Wildcats, coming to you live. It's your host with the most, Kylan Watson, rocking out with Trey. We are the controversial twosome. I'm gonna let my brother reintroduce himself. Go ahead, Trey.
All right, what's up, everybody? Good to be back on the podcast again. Uh, and I'm looking forward to some of the topics we'll be talking about today, especially with all that's going on in free agency and the tension that's building with where LeBron James is going to go. And, you got DeAndre Jordan opted out of his contract, and where will Paul George be, and where will Kawhi Leonard end up? So I'm looking forward to any conversations we'll have. And um, as usual, Colin has some interesting hot takes as well to start us off.
As always. Okay, all right. Y'all know how we start this off. We start this off with our crossover hot takes, which is where we dive in, lean in to some politics, to some local, to some sports. Depends on what's going on. As you know, as Trey just mentioned, it's been wild in the sports world. Free agency starts tomorrow, Lord willing, which means no sleep for most of us. Well, technically it starts at 11:59 tonight, but y'all know what I mean. For which means no sleep for all of us basketball heads in here. But yeah, so let's get it started. Actually, Amina just walked in. Oh, Amina, go ahead and reintroduce yourself.
Mhm. Good morning, everyone. Wait, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
All
we
right.
can hear you.
Good morning. It's Amina joining everyone this last day of June, entering July. Very hot. Um,
Woo! July.
today,
Shouts out to all the July babies
shake,
and you last day of June babies. Shout out.
shaking my head. I shouldn't have mentioned that. um, yeah, this weekend is the start of the NBA's free agency and trade fiasco that goes on every year, and this year it's a little bit more intense than it's been in the past few years, and we're all looking forward to seeing where some specific people are gonna go. It's been a lot of nonsense and shenanigans with stuff around the country this past week, so we're gonna talk about that too. So let's get started. Stay cool and hydrated, though.
Well, the heat is good. So for those of you that don't know, you don't listen to the radio reports. The East Coast is under a little heat advisory. It's going to be like 98 today, 100 tomorrow, 98 on Monday. It's just going to be hot on the East Coast. So for those of you that are not July babies, not babies of summer, please stay hydrated. Uh, please keep it warm. Please keep it unique. Stay hydrated and everything. But moving right along to our crossover hot takes, and we gotta, we do have an interesting one, but a Kylan curveball because we got to talk about this. Yet again, we find ourselves on a podcast a couple of days after a major mass shooting in the United States. This time in the newsroom, the Capital Gazette in Annapolis, Maryland. Uh, and that's people of Pennsylvanians, Delawareans. We have a unique relationship being so close to Annapolis, Maryland, being what, like 2, 3 hours away, Trey? Trey,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 2 or 3 hours away from Annapolis, Maryland, being in Pennsylvania, Delaware. So there's a uniqueness there with a fellow East Coast Northern city going through this. So your reaction to the latest mass shooting and this time in the newsroom? Go ahead, Amina.
You said Trey or me?
You.
Okay, because I was fixing my mic. All right, where should I begin? Actually, Kylan told me about this mess that happened Thursday at 2:30 our time, Eastern Standard Time, in Annapolis, Maryland, which is roughly an hour and a half drive from Baltimore, 3 hour top drive from Philadelphia. This 38-year-old psycho that looks like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. He had a vendetta against this newspaper called the Capital Gazette that's owned by the Baltimore Sun in Annapolis, Maryland. Roughly 10 years ago, they ran a story on him about a domestic violence situation that he had with a girlfriend at the time. He didn't want the story to get out in the media, and it did. And all these years, it's been boiling over in him against this newspaper. The employees over the years since have been told to contact 911 if they saw him anywhere near the premises. And they didn't have time, I guess, on Thursday. He shot through the newspaper rooms that had glass doors. He barricaded the exits. There were supposedly some suspicious packages found inside the facility. He killed 5 employees, injured like 3 more, and he was taken alive. And just took the typical narrative of I would say about 90% of the mass shootings I hear over the years of a white male does this or that, taken alive. But our black children that haven't even turned 18 years old can't even make it to their 18th birthday because they're killed because of their race. This is America. Welcome to America. This has always been going on, and God willing, it never happens again going in the future. But knowing this is America, things are unpredictable, and it's just unfortunate that these people are working in their field of their dreams, journalism. Most people that are involved in the journalism field, it's their passion. It's not something they do just to make money, it's their passion. So Kylan and I were talking about it, and we said that this may impact their future with their dreams. Like, they may not want to be involved with newspapers or magazines or social media. They may start independent freelance writing to not be involved with any company. This is huge, and it just goes to show that people out here, no matter what city, state, town, county, whatever you want to call it, a whole lot of folks are walking around ticking time bombs. This is the time. This is the climate we live in America. Individuals are walking around with vendettas against people, places, and things, and they strike when you least expect it. So this was another case of it, and it's unfortunate that this happens right before 4th of July weekend, where these people, I know they were possibly getting ready to have vacation time and whatnot with their families, and just a whole lot of mess interrupted their lives right now, entering into the summer season. I just feel bad for them because when I was listening to the reports, like on TV and reading articles online, he ran out of bullets in the first round of shooting that he went on, and he just stood there in the middle of the floor in the one of the main newspaper rooms reloading his weapons in the middle of the floor, and all these employees were hiding under their desks. So I don't know how long they heard him reloading, however many minutes it was, but they heard him reloading and he started firing away for a second round. Scary day at work for Thursday afternoon for these people. Like, to hear somebody that just killed five of your coworkers, injured three more, and you may possibly be next. It's like, all hiding under your desk is all you can do at that point. And hope to God that you're not being taken out of there in a body bag too. But it's just unfortunate. For the last several years, really 20 years, it's been mass shooting after mass shooting. Started with Columbine in '99. I just wish that this culture of mass shootings would end, because it's not getting anywhere. Any anyone anywhere. It's not positive. It's not progressive. It's just all around bad. It's just ridiculous. But that's what I have to say about it.
All right, Trey, are you got a reaction, or you catching up, or what's going on with you?
Yeah. So I mean, I heard about this. I was a little bit late on it, but um, the way I heard about it actually was surprising. It would I guess Trump made some comments that people viewed as incendiary, meaning that or that he actually incited the mass shooting. And I mean, I won't say that he did. I won't say that he didn't, because Trump has put a vendetta out on the media, and he's made, I mean, the whole fake news thing. But regardless, I mean, this is it's a tragic event, and from what I'm hearing from Amina about the fact that the people were kind of hiding under their desks, I mean, that's a crazy day at work, to have to be at work and people you work with are, you know, getting shot at I mean, I can't even imagine that. But it's tragic that stuff like this keeps happening, and then you have people who um can't see that, they're like, well, it's a heart issue. It's like, okay, well, yeah, and I've said this before. Granted, okay, whatever, it's a heart issue. I mean, but it's also a gun issue, because the heart issue is leading to people using, guns to mass murder people. So if we can't, we can't automate, like, you're not going to just change someone's heart. That's that's something that's going to take time, and it's not going to be changed by laws. But what needs to take place is that if you say it's a heart issue, or it's a problem with the people, and these people were crazy, they were mentally ill, so let's make sure that those people can't get their hands on those on guns. But no, we can't mess with the Second Amendment. um and gun control laws don't work. See, there's gun control laws in place. uh because I think there was something happened in Jersey, I think a couple of weeks ago, and somebody was like, gun control laws don't work. Jersey has some of the strictest gun laws in the U.S., and something still happened. I was like, okay, what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. So I mean, it's tragic that kind of stuff keeps happening. And I mean, hopefully it will not happen again, and hopefully, I mean, these people will learn that something has got to be done. We can't just when this happens say, well, we know gun laws don't work. I mean, that's really all I can say about that.
This is very personal to me as somebody who's in the field that these people are in, journalism, uh, even though it's a different genre of it than sports reporting, but still journalism. And it's difficult for me because when I heard about this, I thought of so many people who I've talked to before, on air, off air, who have said, "Oh, we love your writing style. We love that you're in sports, but you can do so much more, writing for politics, talking about political issues and stuff." And I tell people all the time, "Well, that's nice. I would love to be involved in politics, but right now, politic reporting, political reporting is a dangerous job." And this is case in point right here. Now, as Trey said, it would be irresponsible of me and of anybody else with a platform like this to be all like, "Well, Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump's fault. He didn't pull the trigger. This man was deranged. He'd been after, as Amina said, he had a history with this paper. He'd been after him. The cops knew about him from a stalking issue of a former reporter at this paper, the reporter that wrote that story on him. And she had told them that that's going to be your next shooter if y'all not careful," told the Annapolis police. And they didn't believe her. And here we are 10 years later. He done shot up the newsroom. And it would be very irresponsible to say this, but I'm just going to say this: the current political culture that we're in, the current climate that we're in, did not help. I told Amina this. Amina said it might be a reach off air, but it's really not a reach because listen, let's just take what we've heard from the White House, from people who are Trump sexuals, as I'm going to affectionately call them from now on. They talk about fake news. They talk about the press. A free press is the enemy of the American people. Let me tell you how much of I'll get to how much of an oxymoron that is in a minute, right? That the press is the enemy of the state. You just had a big time crazy right-wing Republican, Milo Yiannopoulos, a couple of days ago, talk about how somebody should go and shoot up a newsroom, and a couple of days later, here's a guy shooting up a newsroom. Let's stop sugarcoating it. Let's stop pretending like this political culture that we're in didn't cause this. Yeah, like I said, those extreme people didn't pull the trigger. They didn't shoot up the newsroom, but they didn't help either. And I said this on my Facebook. I say it again here. We have got to be responsible with our language. It doesn't matter if you're me. It doesn't matter if you're a small person in Philadelphia. It doesn't matter if you're in rural Pennsylvania, rural Delaware. You have got to be responsible with what you say, Donald Trump. You have got to be responsible with what you say. You cannot say, a free press is the enemy of the American people, and then be shocked when somebody decides to shoot up a newsroom. You cannot be saying stuff like fake news. You cannot be saying stuff like, "Oh, you should beat up a protester. You should beat up this. You should beat up this." You cannot have incendiary language, and then when somebody acts on the culture that you created, you cannot act like you're irresponsible. Oh, I cannot get over the fact that on Thursday afternoon, reporters were asking him, "Sir, do you have a comment about what happened in Annapolis, Maryland?" You know what that man did? He kept walking, acting like he could just Pontius Pilate this and wash his hands of it. Took him 2 days yesterday to come out with something saying, "Oh, journalists shouldn't be attacked at their work, at their place of employment. They shouldn't have." I give him credit. That was a good statement. I don't know why it took you 2 days to say that. Maybe you had to figure out a way to not make it your fault. But, like I said, it would be irresponsible of me to say that. But like I said, I'm not going to pretend to sugarcoat it like this climate that people have created by calling reporters that report things that they don't like fake news, enemy of the people, blah blah blah. This is a terrible situation. Like Amina said, thank God that the cops that in Annapolis, even though it's a big city, is very small as far as their downtown area. If anybody's ever been to Annapolis, they can tell you it's a big city, but the police are like right there in the downtown area. If somebody does something downtown, it's not hard for the police to get there and stuff. And luckily, the quick response of law enforcement saved lives. Luckily, this man was a coward, didn't shoot himself. Luckily, he didn't kill more people. You hate saying that, but it could always have been worse. Like Amina said, he barricaded the door to keep people from getting out, and he would occasionally go back during the shooting spree. And this probably accounts for why he ran out of bullets. Would go back and shoot people that tried to escape through that back exit door that he had barricaded. So it's a terrible situation. It's horrible what happened. It's a shame, like I said, that we lost so many, even though they were older than me, journalists who were doing a good job, doing, by all accounts, not fake news, not being biased, doing real reporting in Annapolis, Maryland, that were cut down by this insane psychopath who people didn't believe would go and shoot up a newsroom. And, like I said, man, I believe and close out with this. We have got to be responsible with what we say. It doesn't matter if you're the president of the United States. Doesn't matter if you're the press secretary. Doesn't matter if you're Kylan Watson on the Crossover Sports Podcast. We have got to be responsible with what we say. We cannot say enemy of the people. We cannot say fake news. We cannot say, oh, somebody should go and shoot up a newsroom. We cannot be saying that and then be shocked when somebody does it because of this idiotic, dumb, split political culture we got right now. Y'all have got to be, me too, have got to be responsible with what we say. Moving right along to some actual some sports here. So guys, why are people discounting the Sixers as a really good destination for free agents? Go ahead, Trey.
I think I might have mentioned this. I guess it wouldn't have been last week, but it would have been 2 weeks ago. I think that people view the Sixers as a possible destination, and in particular for LeBron James. But in my opinion, and I think you guys would agree with me, the whole LeBron thing, I think LeBron James would be stupid of him not to look at the Sixers and say, okay, they're an option because they've got good young talent that he can play with. Now, the problem with the Sixers, however, with LeBron James in particular, is that not that I can see it working and I can see it not working. And I think it's more likely that it doesn't work just because LeBron James comes onto a team, it's immediately his team. And I think that would, in many ways, hinder Ben Simmons' growth. But I do think some people view the Sixers as a viable free agent destination. I think it's just that at this point, Philly hasn't grown back into, in terms of being an enticing place to play or live. I think Philly hasn't grown back up into that yet. I think you'll see that in the next 2 or 3 years that people will look at Philly and say, not only is it a young and talented team, but also I would want to live in Philly. You look at LA, somebody's like, oh, LA, I would love to live in LA. They've got championship pedigree. Magic is in the front office. When you look at Philly, people are like, oh, it's Philly. They've got good young talent. But what else do they have? People seem to like Brett Brown. He seemed to be somewhat of a player's coach. But other than that, like, what you say, Dr. J played there, but like maybe Wilt played there. But in the front office, who am I looking at? And like with LA, the reason why people like LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George want to go there is there's championship pedigree, there's good young talent there, but it's LA and there's championship pedigree in the front office because you have Magic Johnson there, and then also Paul George is from that area. And same thing with Russell Westbrook. That's why we thought Russell Westbrook might go to LA last year. So I think it's less that it's not a. I think the issue with the Sixers is not that people don't want to play there or wouldn't or don't view it as a potential option, because I think LeBron James is looking at Philly as a potential option. I think it's that LA is just a little bit more enticing. If it was Philly versus I don't know, Orlando, I think and I'm saying, and this is if Orlando was an option, like that they had something to build around in Orlando, that they were already a contender. And I'm looking at Philly and Orlando, I'm like, I'd go to Philly. But it's Philly versus LA for the three major or four major free agents. You got DeAndre Jordan, Paul George, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard. They're like Philly, LA, Philly, LA, Philly, LA. And it looks like they might choose LA, but it's very possible that any number of major free agents would choose Philly because they're talking, they're in talks with each other and like, hey, I think I'm going to go to Philly.
Amina?
Yeah, I gotta partially disagree with Trey by his stance on Philadelphia. Um, People move here because of what the city represents: passion, love, history. The city is extremely family oriented. LeBron James, he has a wife, two sons, and a daughter, and they're all of various ages. The city would be a great asset to their lives. It's a whole lot to do in the city of Philadelphia outside of his career if he would be a Sixers here. We have one of the best museum districts in the country. We have high grade hospital systems here. Our universities are top notch. Um, awesome food as far as culture and just typical Philadelphia back food. We have a great arts and culture scene here. We
Well,
have
I mean, let me say this.
awesome tourist destinations. Philadelphia has a lot to offer outside of his career.
I hear what you're
LA,
saying, Amina.
LA
My
has
point though
nothing.
was that
Philadelphia is more
my point was
affordable to
that
live at is more affordable to live at than Los Angeles. People actually moving out of Los Angeles because their typical six-figure salary is becoming too much and they can't even afford a two-bedroom apartment in Los Angeles with that anymore. You could still find affordable living in Philadelphia. Philadelphia people are doubting, I think partially because of the Colangelo situation that we just got rid of here in the city. But outside of that, Philadelphia has may not have as many chips as Los Angeles. But outside of that, the team is more passionate. The team is more passionate. And he will be standing on the shoulders of Wilt Chamberlain, Allen Iverson, Carl. He will stand on the shoulders of Dr. J, Moses Malone, rest in peace. So many high grade Sixers players that the city has had over the years. This would be the perfect landing spot for him. The only reason why I would not want him on the Sixers is because of the stats decrease with players that he joins teams on. Like if you look at players that have been on the Heat and the Cavaliers with him, he doesn't typically make players better. Now, hopefully, whatever team he goes to, it changes. That's the only reason why I went. But he would be a veteran player on a team that he would go on as far as in his career, but not on a team per se. So I think that they would give him less minutes. I don't think they will have him run entire games 48 minutes like they did on the Cavaliers. I think they would give him maybe 20 or 30 something minutes apiece and let the younger people on the team do what they need to do to build their resume and whatnot. I think this is a great place to come to. I mean, I think Philadelphia, I think the Sixers have more money right now than the Lakers. The Sixers have a lot of money to give to LeBron James. And for him to pass that up, I don't know why. And he's been dropping hints for over 2 years now that he likes Philadelphia, that he may want to come here. So all signs is showing that, Philadelphia. And within the next few days, hopefully, we'll be hearing his move. But Philadelphia is not for everyone, but it is a great city to move to if you have a young family like him. So Los Angeles isn't family orientated. It's for single people and adults. So he has to look at that. He has 3 children.
I wanted to say this in response to what Amelia was saying real quick before whoever goes next. I'm not saying that people don't want to come to Philly because of what Philly is. I'm saying in spite of what Philly offers in terms of activities and schooling and all that, I think players are also looking like LeBron James vets. They're looking at the front office too, and they're like, which front office do I like better? You know, and I think to a lot of players, LA's front office is a little bit more enticing. So I agree with you, Amina, on the schooling and in terms of like for players like LeBron James who has kids, it's a little bit more for his family. Philly looks better, but LA has better front office. So that's what I'm saying. So LeBron James could go to Philly, or anybody else could go to Philly, but LA is also a viable option, and it's precisely because of the fact that you have Magic Johnson in the front office. So.
Let me just say this. I talked about this before a couple weeks ago. I'll talk about it again. I believe that if you're a free agent, whether you're LeBron James, now let's be real, there's only really 3 big name free agents. Kawhi Leonard's not a free agent until next year. Antonio controls his rights. But if you are Paul George, LeBron James, let's be real. DeAndre Jordan's not coming here unless he's planning on being a power forward because nobody's usurping. Uh, Joel Embiid out of being the center in Philadelphia. So let's get that straight. Paul George, LeBron James. If you're even Kawhi Leonard and San Antonio tells you we're about to trade you to Philly, I've said this before. I say it again. If you don't want to come here and be a part of this young core that's going on, be a part of this championship culture in this city, right? Now Philadelphia made some history. They were the first city. Even though I know a lot of you Philadelphia heads will keep telling me, and you'll keep beating it into your chest that Villanova doesn't play here, right? They're not a Philadelphia college. We know, we hear you. But Philadelphia was the first city to win a Super Bowl and then immediately win an NCAA championship. That's never happened before. So again, if you are a free agent, right, and you don't want to come and be a part of this young culture. I said this to Amina. I think I've said this to Trey off air. If you are somebody and you don't want to come here, LeBron James, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, you don't want to be a part of what you're building here. Now, honestly, even though I don't want him here, I think this is the easiest place for LeBron James to come to and build the next chapter of his legacy because, and I said this a couple weeks ago, why would you want to be the person that follows Kobe Bryant and the Lakers? Like, that is a little bit too much pressure for LeBron James. I mean, yes, LeBron James been under pressure since he was 15, 16 years old. But going to LA and being under that Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal pressure is different. And LA is different. Let me tell you why it's different. I said this a couple weeks ago. Because if that man doesn't get them to a title, and let's be real, even if LeBron comes there, even if they get Paul George, or even if they get Kawhi Leonard, I don't think anybody's going to be, yo, they're immediately better than the Golden State Warriors. I have yet to hear anybody say, yo, if they get Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and LeBron James, along with what they have, they're going to beat the Warriors. There's no way. Let me be as real. I was one of the people saying there was no way Houston was going to beat them, and I'll be on the record right now at 11:37 Eastern Time on June 30th. There is no way if the Lakers get all that, and just based on what they have to give up, because they'll probably have to give up Ingram and Kuzma because they can't trade Lonzo Ball now. That's not enough. LeBron James, like I keep telling people, I've said this before. If you look at LeBron James's history when he comes somewhere, you have to literally give up everything that makes your team good. That's what Miami had to do. That's what Cleveland had to do the second time. That's what LA is going to have to do together. The only teams that won't have to do that will be Boston and Philly. Every other team has to give away something. The Lakers have to give away their young core. And why? And hear me out here. When your youngest player coming in is if you get Kawhi Leonard because he's 27, but you have to rely on a 34-year-old LeBron James who has already said, my next destination, I'm not doing 40 minutes, 82 games, every game. Then have to go to the playoffs because I run out of gas. Like I keep saying, where's the Lakers bench going to be? You know, where are all these teams that think they're in the LeBron James sweepstakes? Do you have a bench? Remember, this is 34-year-old LeBron James. This is not 27-year-old LeBron James. And yes, he's gotten better shooting. He's coming off of one of his statistically best seasons in his career. But you have to give up so much to get LeBron James if you are the Lakers. If you're the Sixers, you don't have to give up nothing. You just have to create a max spot, which they already had. You know, I'm of the mindset that if you don't want to come here, if you don't want to be a part of what we're building here, if you don't want to be a part of the next 10 to 20 years of dominance that's going to be happening in Philly, because I've written the article about this, every major star in Philadelphia on each of the 4 major sports teams, the oldest is Carson Wentz, and he's 25. Everybody else is under the age of 25. So if you don't want to be a part of this next 10 to 20 years of dominance that's happening, you want to go to LA and be a part of, you know, a promise of Magic Johnson, the promise that Magic Johnson can get you 2 more free agents, can rebuild the Lakers who haven't been good in 5 years. If you want to be there, you want to be with LA, you want to recapture old glory, go right ahead. In Philadelphia, we're trying to recapture future glory and build a dynasty. If you don't want to be a part of that, that's fine. If you want to go to LA, you want to, like I said, try and think you can rebuild Lonzo Ball's shot. Try and think that you can dominate with the Warriors in the same conference as you. Go right ahead. Me, if I'm LeBron James, I'm Kawhi Leonard, I'm Paul George, I want to go to the East. I want to go to a team. And it's not necessarily easy in the East anymore, as this year showed you. I want to go to the East. I want to build something. I want to build my own legacy. I don't want to be in the shadow of Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Jerry West, Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem, Elgin. Just keep on naming legends. You know, why? Come to Philly. Doesn't matter if you're LeBron James. Fit-wise, it's better for Kawhi Leonard or Paul George to come here, as Trey said. But it is what it is. I think that Philadelphia should. I think the Sixers are going to surprise people and be in on a lot of free agents that a lot of people think that they have no business being in. And I keep telling people, Brett Brown has a really good relationship with Kawhi Leonard. So don't be surprised if the Spurs wind up trading him here. You know, that's if you either want to be here or you don't. If you don't want to be a part of 10 to 20 years of dominance in sports, don't come here. Go try and recapture old glory in LA. Go ahead, Andre.
Colin, what's the question?
Why are people discounting the Sixers as a really good destination for the free agents?
All right, because superstars haven't. I mean, we just gotta look at the facts. Like superstars haven't been going out their way to come to Philadelphia. because of the fan base. You know, we're very hard on players, but we're hard, but at the same time we're very loving as well. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, and if you go above and beyond, woo man, you're gonna receive love like you never experienced. Like AI used to say, like the best thing I hear when I come to the building is y'all voices. Like you don't get that anywhere else. You don't get like, well, I guess there's a few places that probably appreciate you like that, like Cleveland, maybe Green Bay. I'm talking about the football team, and I would say New England when they're winning, but when you're losing, I don't think they're going. Like we hold you accountable. That's the kind of fan base we is. Like we gonna be on you when you're good. We gonna be on you when you're bad. You gonna hear from us. So like most players don't want to deal with that, and we not like a vacation spot. We not like a place that people go to like relax and have fun and just like Philly. We get the hot weather. We get the cold weather. So the cities. If you inside the cities, it's kind of nice. It is nice. We got the arts. We got good shows, but all that plays a part to why somebody wouldn't want to come here over like a Miami or a Los Angeles or even San Francisco. Like these places, man. Like you're right near the water. Everybody's there, so you see celebrities, so you can rub elbows with the stars all day. You can go to great clubs and parties. But here, it's more like an ordinary life with like a little bit of a Hollywood to it, And I say a little bit, but we're not on the level of a Miami or California. We just aren't. We're not that close to the water. You would have to go somewhere else to get to the water. Because you're not going to be sitting down Schuylkill River having a great time. That's not going to happen. Unless you're just like one of those guys like that run outside. That's about it. But I want whoever want to come here to come here. And like Colin said, you got to be ready to fit in with the culture, though. You got to be ready to work with Ben Simmons and work with Joel Embiid. These are our core guys. Markelle Fultz. Even with his hang-ups, I want LeBron here, man. I don't care what nobody said. I want him here. Like Mike Missinelli said, I don't think that's not smart. It's the greatest player in the world we're talking about. We're not talking about some fifth-round draft pick coming to the team that just blew up. No. This dude has been dominant since he came into the league. And he's consistently going to the finals. And he's got a lot of basketball knowledge. He can help grow this team to the level that they need to grow to. So I absolutely want him here. Will I be disappointed if he don't come here? Of course. But will that me stop being a Sixers fan? No. Will that me stop being a LeBron fan? No. I'm a LeBron fan forever. I'm a Sixers fan forever. So it's just that simple.
All right, moving right along. All right, y'all. Here's the prerequisite Ben Roethlisberger is old question. Has Ben Roethlisberger added years to his career by having Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell? I'll start. Yes, just like Eli Manning looks old and out of touch without Odell Beckham and without Plexico Burress. A lot of you don't remember that when Plexico Burress retired, Eli Manning looked like he couldn't throw for anything because he overthrows everything. And because Plexico Burress was so tall, he was able to make Eli Manning look like he was the most accurate quarterback since his brother, right? And so you've seen it without Odell. Just an example. This is not me trying to kill Eli Manning, but it's the same thing that's going on with Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger has the benefit of two of the best players at their position on his team, right? He has Le'Veon Bell when he's not injured, and he has Antonio Brown when he's not injured. He also has two of the most injury-prone best players at their position too. You're gonna get this with me. I hate injury-prone players. I don't care if they're the best player ever. You can't be the best player if you're not on the field. I keep saying that. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown are very good players when they're healthy. Outside of that, if they're not healthy, I don't really care about them. So, you have Antonio Brown, who is the best wide receiver when healthy. Le'Veon Bell, who's up there for being a top running back when healthy, and they make Ben Roethlisberger look good. Now, granted, Ben Roethlisberger has won the title before Le'Veon Bell. Hasn't won a title since then, but did win a title without Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. But we're not talking about Super Bowl early 2000s Ben Roethlisberger. We're talking about current Ben Roethlisberger, who was a turnover machine this year, right? A lot of y'all remember that Jacksonville game when he had, and Trey, Dre, or Amina can correct me if I'm wrong, when he had like 5 interceptions in one game. I'm used to Eli Manning having 5 interceptions in one game. Not Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger, just like Tom Brady, is beginning to show his age. He can't throw accurately anymore. Anybody that watched Steelers games and is an objective Steelers fan can see that. Ben Roethlisberger does not have it anymore. You know, I'm going to keep saying that. Just like Odell Beckham, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell deserve their money. And if I am their agents, this is what I say. If it wasn't for my client and Antonio Brown, if it wasn't for my client and Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger would look as old as Eli Manning did without Odell Beckham. So go ahead, go give me my money. Insert Rooney name here. Don't give us our money. We'll go somewhere else. We'll make another quarterback look good, and Ben Roethlisberger can look like Brett Favre before he retired. You go right ahead. So yeah, Ben Roethlisberger, he's earned his respect. Don't get me wrong. I don't want Steelers Twitter coming after me at Kyler W. Watson. He's a great quarterback, but he's past his prime. It's clear. It was clear all of last season, just like Tom Brady. It was clear all of last season when he was throwing 5 interceptions. I think he won a string of games where he was throwing at least 3 to 4 interceptions a game. And for me, as a fan of Ben Roethlisberger, who's been watching him since he played college football, I have never seen Ben Roethlisberger overthrow people so badly as he did last season, throwing 5 interceptions. And you could just say that was against Jacksonville, but I think there was a game, I think against the Browns, where he threw like 3 or 4 interceptions too. So it wasn't just Jacksonville that was making him look like he couldn't throw for nothing. Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I agree with you, Colin. Having those players on the team for Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown, absolutely add years to his football life. If you don't have those type of players, like it's going to be short lived. It's just is like you can only do but so much. You know, like everything, it has the expiration date. Our bodies are they can only do so much. Like, and these guys do a lot. Like, if you're going through OTAs and you're going through training camp, and you're going through the whole season, it's a lot, man. Like, that's why you need that time off. You need rest. It's going to be the best thing for you as a quarterback. That's why we need to have so many pieces around Carson Wentz. Like, it's key that we have great running backs. We got a north and south running back. We got an east and west running back. That we got receivers that can run the slot. Receivers that can get the deep ball. We need all that. We need variety. So we keep the defense honest. You keep them on their heels. So, shout out to Ben Roethlisberger for having those guys on his team and understanding the importance of having those guys on his team. I hope that, other quarterbacks learned that, like Cam Newton. And I hope Cam has learned it by now. You can't do it all yourself, man. Like Michael Vick should have been a clear example of that to you. He tried to do it all himself. It's not going to work, man. These dudes is too fast. This game is too fast. There's too much going on. It only take one hit. You out the game. Now you're recuperating from an injury that you could have avoided, but you decided to be He-Man or Superman trying to take over the whole game. Like, that might slide every now and then, but it's not going to slide every time. Them dudes get paid just like you get paid. And they get even more money if they knock you up. So, listen, not knock you up, but you know what I'm saying. Like, to knock you out of the game. So, and we already know about that. Like, it was bounties out on guys. I'm sure it was a bounty out on Michael Vick. Like, this dude won't run around. No, we're not going to have that.
Trey? Trey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. My bad. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead and skip me and move on. Sorry, my phone is acting up.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have nothing for this question. We can move on.
All right. All right, y'all. The one that has vexed me all week. How can Carson Wentz be the third best player in the league, and not even a top 10 quarterback? All right. So before we go, for those of you that don't know, the rank the rankings came out for uh, the top players in the NFL. Carson Wentz was the third player. Was the third best player in the league, but voted on by his peers and coaches and all that other stuff, all that other good stuff, right?
Top
And
100
but then
players.
but then but then the ranking for top 10 quarterbacks came out, and Carson Wentz's name wasn't even on there. I don't know what his ranking was, but it wasn't. But it wasn't a top 10 quarterback. And so the question is, how can Carson Wentz be the third best player in the league according to his peers and all that, and not even a top 10 quarterback? Go ahead, Amina.
Me, you, and Matt have talked about this during the week, and me and you have talked about it on our solo together. The top 100 list, Carson Wentz made it to the third spot for the top 100 players of 2018 in the NFL. A few days later, the top 10 quarterback list came out as well, and he didn't make the list, or Nick Foles. I think it has to do with that game that took him out the season. We don't know what he could have been in reality if the injury hadn't happened. We have an idea or a hunch, whatever. But because of that injury, it'll always be a mystery. Could he been this? Could he been that? You know. I don't agree with how the lists that have came out for 2018. I don't agree with some people that made a list, and I don't agree with some people that didn't make
Oh
the
my
list.
God! Why won't he miss a layup?
Um, it's just interesting. But I believe that the top 100 list was for overall, maybe overall likability and other factors outside of the football field. But the top 10 quarterback, I think that's generic, a generic list that was made when I really thought about it over the last few days. And I believe that Carson Wentz may make the top 10 quarterback for the 2019 list, depending on how his season goes and if he doesn't bust his leg up again. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, not everybody that should have made the list, and not everyone that made the list should have. I think it has to do with the people at the NFL who make the list, what they prefer, because everyone has their own general idea of what list of players in sports should be. So I don't see a reason why I should be up in arms about it, but I do think that the injury had a major factor with it. And the fact that the Super Bowl was not his Super Bowl, it was Nick Foles' Super Bowl against Tom Brady. Maybe if it was Wentz versus Brady, he would have gotten the list, I think. But a lot of factors, I think, went into it. Why he made one list and not the other.
Go ahead, Trey. I don't know if he's ready.
Yeah, I mean, it's all subjective, and I mean, I pay attention to you. I look at the rankings, um, and I say, well, his peers think very highly of him, and then I'm not sure the top 10 quarterback list. I don't think is a listing of peers. Um, I mean, it does. It's odd and it doesn't make any sense. But I mean, it's just a ranking, and I mean, I think most people would probably say, or players would say that um that Nick Foles, or not, I almost said Nick Foles, Carson Wentz is a top five quarterback. I think the idea that he's top three in the NFL. If you also got to look at that ranking, there is top three for the season. So I guess when you're looking at that ranking, they're saying, okay, out of every player in the NFL, he's number three out of the top 100. Um, which is saying a lot, but they're saying during this past NFL season, out of all of the NFL players that were eligible, they picked 100, and he was the third best during this past season. I think the top 10 list, I don't know where he fell on that list. I think they're just saying overall, where does he fall? So for this past season, he was, you know, the third best player overall. But maybe they're saying in combination with his rookie season, Carson Wentz wasn't top 10. I disagree with that, but I'm guessing that was their logic. Because I do think Carson Wentz overall and last year is a top five quarterback. Um, whether you like it, I mean, it's his skill on a skill level. He's very good, and I think he's top five. And maybe if you don't want to say top five, he's top 10. But I think what makes Carson Wentz such a great player, and why he should have been number three, and maybe even over Tom Brady, because I mean, if Carson Wentz had played the Super Bowl, I think Carson Wentz is number one and on that top 100. But I think what takes Carson Wentz over the top, and to me, gives him the nudge over some other players, some other quarterbacks, is that one, he's still young, and two, his leadership. People flock to Carson Wentz for leadership, um, and that's why we were able to, even though he wasn't quarterback, that's why we were able to finish off the season, um, and still maintain the level of play, and then go into Super Bowl. Is because it was partially because of the fact that Nick Foles played very well when we needed him to, but it was also because the camaraderie and the leadership that Carson Wentz brought to the team, and he in combination with Nick Foles, the coaches, Malcolm Jenkins, rallied the players together and said, "Hey, this is something special. Let's go win the Super Bowl," and they did. But I think it all started with Carson Wentz, and that's why I think it's an intangible. Actually, I think that takes him from just being a really good quarterback to, I think, a player who's going to be in the league for a long, long time and is going to win the Eagles a lot of games, and is going to end up in the Hall of Fame because of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Trey on this. Uh, these rankings, man, like I swear, these dudes got to be like mutes or something, or maybe they want an old fashioned type player, so they don't rank, running quarterbacks as high as they should. I really don't put too much stake in this type stuff. Like, who cares what they think? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Like, we got to rank, and people are quick to forget forget, man. Like, we wouldn't have got this ring without Carson Wentz. So, yes, it was Nick Foles' Super Bowl, but that was Carson Wentz's season. I don't care what nobody say. Nick Foles was the cleanup man, basically. He was a great cleanup man, but he was a cleanup man. Carson Wentz was he was the mustard. He was the relish. He was everything. He put the team on his back, and I look forward to him putting the team on his back again because I know he's working hard. And training camp, he worked hard in the OTAs. He worked hard just rehabilitating himself and just staying in the right mentality. So listen, the Eagles will fly again, baby, and they're flying very soon. So I'm not worried about anybody's ranking or what they think of our team. Who cares less? Y'all want to make us underdogs again? So be it. Like my man Kelsey said, nobody likes us. Nobody likes us. We don't care. Like, we just don't care, dude. Like, we in our own zone. So, just keep hating. We just it's gonna be motivation for it. That's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be motivation.
This is throughout this whole week, for real. I've been mad about this throughout this whole week. I found out about it because I was watching First Take, and I heard Stephen A. Smith, the man who made his bones in Philly, say he didn't think Carson Wentz was worth that ranking or the hype. And I'll use the stat that I've been using all week to shut people up. Statistically, before he got hurt, Carson Wentz was the best quarterback in the league. He had more touchdowns than Tom Brady, still had more touchdowns than Tom Brady, even after his 5-touchdown performance against the Eagles when the Super Bowl ended. It actually took Tom Brady. Tom Brady needed those 5 touchdowns in the Super Bowl to actually surpass Carson Wentz. And even despite that, he only beat Carson Wentz by 1 touchdown. So there's that. Carson Wentz led the league in completion percentage this past season, so he was better than Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and all them quarterbacks that were named above him in the top 10. He was better than them in QB percentage. He was better than them in QBR. He was better than them in touchdowns. He was better than them in completions. He was better than them in yards. I just named through, and this is only that man's second year. And he's better than Tom Brady, better than Drew Brees, statistically. All that. I know some people will be like, oh, you saying he's better than Tom Brady, better than Drew Brees? Statistically, yes, he was better than all of them. He was better than Aaron Rodgers. It vexed me that a man that didn't make it past his 6th game is rated higher than Carson Wentz on 2 things: in the top 100 players list, and then the top 10 quarterbacks. I don't understand how. And I'm about to say it, and some people in Green Bay might think it's blasphemy, how an underachiever like Aaron Rodgers continues to live off the fact that he's a gunslinger that only has 1 Super Bowl ring. I don't understand. I don't understand how you a gunslinger who's not healthy, one of the most injury-prone players in the NFL, always injured, hasn't had a year, at least in like 6 or 7 years, that he didn't get injured, right? So he spent the last 6 or 7 seasons on somebody's IR, on somebody's disabled list, whatever you want to call it, right? But he's the number 2 quarterback. Tom Brady, whatever. I guess I'll accept it. I guess I'll accept the fact that until he retires, he'll always be the number 1 quarterback. I guess I'll accept that. Even though it's hard to accept, I'll accept that. But Carson Wentz was, like I said, statistically the best quarterback in 2018. And he's only 25, and it's only his 2nd year in the league. He's going into his junior season in the league. So can I ask y'all something? What y'all think about the noise he gonna make this year? This is a man that led the league in touchdowns, led the league in yards, led the league in QBR. He was basically the MVP. The only reason Tom Brady won the MVP was, like I said on this podcast before, was by default because Carson Wentz got hurt. Now, I'm either saying that we don't know what he would have done. Statistically, I think we do know what he would have done. He would have kept leading the league in touchdowns, kept leading the league in completions, kept leading the league in QBR, it would have been a lot easier for the Eagles to get through. I mean, heck, there were experts that were saying the only reason the Eagles are underdogs was because Carson Wentz wasn't playing. So we know that if the Eagles had Carson Wentz, it would have been a lot easier against the Falcons. They wouldn't have had to have Julio Jones have the football go right through his hands. That wouldn't have needed to happen. They probably would have blew out Minnesota by an even larger margin than what they did in the NFC Championship game. And it probably wouldn't have been that close in the final couple of quarters in the Super Bowl. And the Eagles probably would have blew them out at a large scale. And people are like, well, how can you make that assumption? Like I said, the man led the league in touchdowns, led the league in completions, had less amount of turnovers than he did his rookie season, wasn't turning the ball over as much. I'm pretty sure the Eagles would have beaten everybody that they played in the playoffs by a wide margin had Carson Wentz been there. So, and I'm saying this, if the level of an MVP of Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers is that without Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, you can't see the Patriots or the Packers being as good as they are. And everybody thought the Eagles would get eliminated by the Falcons, right? Without Carson Wentz. Doesn't that speak to his value as a quarterback then? So if you're telling me that without Carson Wentz, you thought the Eagles would lose to the Falcons, you thought the Eagles would have gotten blown out rather easily against the Patriots, looking at you, most of them ESPN commentators, then that speaks to Carson Wentz's value. If you're telling me he's the third best player, but not a top 10 quarterback, and you have Jimmy Garoppolo over him, you have all these players over him, and I'm just mystified at this top 10 QB list. I don't understand it, but I'm just gonna keep it moving, and just say this: Carson Wentz is a top 2 quarterback in this league. He showed it in his statistics. He deserves to be ranked higher than what he is. He deserves to be ranked higher than what he is. He at least deserved to be a top 5 QB, if nothing else. But we gonna keep it moving to our next question, which is Amita and I already reacted to this last week. But, Trey and Andre were at a retreat last weekend, so I didn't get a chance. Y'all reaction to what's going on at the border? Go ahead, Andre.
All right. Where do I start with that? This is beyond. It's a morality thing, man. Like, how the hell are you going to take children, infants, little kids away from their parents? Like you have got to have no kind of morality, man. You're going to be evil. Here I come. It's just like, how could you do that to a child? They don't deserve that. They don't know what's going on. And for the president's wife to take her behind there with a jacket on that says, "I don't care. Do you?" It's like, are you serious? It's no way in the world. Like, I don't even really want to talk about these people, but we have to because it's the president, the first lady. But it's like, man, like this, like I feel like other people do. I don't want to mention their names. I don't want to give them no kind of credit, no kind of power. I'm done, man. I just can't even.
Trey?
I mean, yeah, I feel the same way, man. I'm with you, Andre, because it's just like I want to believe in Donald Trump. Like, I want to believe that he's going to do good things for the country. I believe that he's going to be smart. I want to believe that he's not going to, make incendiary comments or keep blaming the media for why his ratings are down. I want to believe good things about him and his family, and that things will change for the better in the United States. But then it doesn't happen, you know. And then you have things like what Andre talked about, you know, bringing up, you know, her Melania wearing a shirt that says "I don't care," you know, to the, you know, and it just stuff like that continues to happen, and it's disheartening even that people would even, I mean, I don't know all the details around what conditions these people are actually living in, because I mean, it doesn't matter what media outlet you're looking at. You know, it's very it's deceiving a lot of times, the media. And so you never know what's actually real. But what I will say is that I can't understand, and I to this day, how you could look at, you know, a group of people and say, well, you know, they're illegal and they don't belong here, or they're illegal and they, you know, they shouldn't be here, and as a result we're going to detain them, and you know, and we're going to treat them like they're less than because they're not citizens. And I think the issue is that it comes down to you know, it comes down to a human being thing where it's just like, okay, maybe they're not legal citizens, right? They have not legally become a citizen. And that's, I mean, it's illegal to cross the border without, you know, without being a citizen, right? And that's one thing. However, they're still a human being, and from a Christian perspective, I mean, we ought to treat people like we would want to be treated. You know, I mean, you can't. I imagine if one of these, you know, conservative pundits were to go over to another country and they were detained, and you know, they would be everybody would be up in arms about it. But when it comes to, you know, people who are coming from countries where there's war going on, and you know, they're fleeing drug cartels, or they're fleeing war, or they're fleeing sexual abuse, and we're treating them as less than. And it comes down again to the idea that we're not looking at them as human beings. We're looking at them as objects that were sent here, or wanted to come here and do harm to us, when in many cases that's not true. I mean, I know multiple people from working at Chick-fil-A and other places that are here. They were on DACA. I know, for example, one girl, I was working with her at Chick-fil-A, and I heard the news about DACA, and I was like, oh my God, dude, like, she could legit, like, one day I could see her at work, and the next day she could have been deported. And thankfully that whole thing with DACA worked out for her, but it's just crazy that people can possibly, like, I don't understand how you could possibly think about other human beings in such a negative light just because they look differently from you, or just because they came from a different situation from you. And it's sad that this is going on, but it's happening. And to quote Donald Glover, this is America.
All right. Well, Matt's not here, and to break up the monotony of basketball, football, and then tough questions, we're going before we get into sports, we're gonna do Matt's baseball corner, or not, or Matt running around the diamond. Even though Matt's not here, I'm gonna do my best to keep up with it. So, the Yankees came to town. They blew out the Phillies. 2 out of 3 games, but the Phillies wound up winning the last game. Rhys Hoskins is on a tear again. He's going to be the fastest Philly to 30 home runs. Haven't seen a slugger like this since probably Ryan Howard. But he strikes out less than Ryan Howard, so that's good. The Yankees and the Red Sox basically are tied for the best record in baseball. What else is going on in baseball? The Phillies are about a half a game out of first place, so there's that. What else? I'm trying to think. What else happened in baseball this week? Baseball's still going on. The All-Star game is coming up, which will be in D.C. this year. For you baseball fanatics, get your tickets to go to D.C. Actually, that's coming up in a couple of weeks because it happens like the week after the 4th of July. So next week will be the All-Star break. And the Phillies are in on a lot of big targets like Mike Moustakas and a lot of other targets. So definitely look for the Phillies to be a player in the trade deadline. As the trade deadline comes up around, I think it comes up around July 21st or July 26th, I believe. So that's Matt's Baseball Corner. I'm sure wherever he is and whenever he comes back, he'll give you more detailed stuff. I'm just trying to give y'all the best I can, give you information that the best I can. So moving right along. All right, guys. So let's go to what had us all on fire last week when the Sixers did the unthinkable. Well, not really the unthinkable, but when the Sixers traded the hometown boy, Zaire Smith, right? Let's take y'all back, right? How angry we were, right? So do you think we are being too hard on Zaire Smith? For those of you that don't know, Zaire Smith is a playmaking highlight reel from Texas Tech, who the Sixers traded for and traded for in order to get for Mikal Bridges. You heard us talk about this last week. I was upset. Troy was upset. A lot of people were upset. And so, do you think we're being too hard on Zaire Smith? Are we doing the reverse Donovan McNabb? Do y'all remember when Donovan McNabb was drafted and all the white people and some black fans were just boo, boo? Are we doing that to Zaire Smith? Are we being too hard on him? Go ahead, Trey, because I know you got something to say, because I know you didn't get a chance to react last week. So go ahead.
Well, so look, let me give a little recap of what happened with me. So I had actually predicted that the Sixers, and I think a lot of people had predicted, but some people were like, is it going to be Trey? Will they trade up for Trae Young? There was a couple other players that there was rumors about, but I was like, no, they're getting Mikal Bridges, and they drafted him, and I was hyped. I was like, Mikal Bridges, he's from the area, went to high school in Malvern, went to Villanova, and I think won 2 national championships there because I think he was a senior, I think, when he graduated. So I was like, we got Mikal Bridges, and I think he fits well on the team because he's really a guard, but he can play small forward. He's good defender, can shoot, and I was real hype about that. And then, not even 40 minutes later, I found he's not here, Dad. 40 minutes later, I find out that he's been traded, and then we got Zaire Smith. And I mean, I think Zaire Smith is going to be a good player. It's just that I felt that Mikal Bridges fit better than he did. I mean, because Zaire Smith is more, I guess he's about 6'5", I believe. So I think he fits on the team, and he's a playmaker. Now the question is, and I don't know much about it, is whether or not he can really shoot. Because what we don't need is a playmaker who can't shoot, because that doesn't help us out.
I can answer this. He shot 34% from the 3-point line in college. So he's Ben Simmons. But he's streaky. He's a little bit inconsistent, but he can play defense.
Right. So I mean, we need defense. You need athleticism. You need playmaking. Right. But like I'm saying, we need somebody who can consistently. Yeah. Yes. We need somebody who can consistently knock down the three, right? So to me, I wouldn't say it's useless, but to me, it wasn't a need to have a playmaker like him because you got Ben Simmons and hopefully uh, Markelle Fultz pans out. Um, so I mean, I feel like Zaire Smith is going to be a very good player, but and hopefully he can develop into a more consistent shooter. And if he does, then that's fine. I mean, but I would have liked to see Mikal Bridges on his team, and I think it was kind of I think the reason why I personally I was being a little bit hard on the Sixers and was kind of was pushing against the idea of Zaire Smith was because Mikal Bridges is a local guy, and I think when he got traded, is like he had his parents and family members at the draft, and he's hyped about being able to play in Philly. And then suddenly, I think he was still doing interviews, and his parents were still doing interviews when he got traded. So I think the how he got traded was a kind of it was a messy situation there because he got traded and he's sitting there like he's literally like getting hype and like, oh, I'm going to be playing in Philly. And as he gets traded and hadn't even known about being traded, and then he gets, they tell him about being traded. So I'm expecting a lot from Zaire Smith because of the fact that we traded away Mikal Bridges. And I think that Mikal Bridges is also going to have a very good career. So if Zaire Smith doesn't turn out to be the player we think he might be, then I mean, that trade it ends up being a dumb trade in the future. So we'll see.
Dre? Andre, you there? Okay. Go ahead, Amina.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate like what happened to Bridges, but it happens a lot. I've noticed over the years, Sixers they grab great local talent and they end up shipping them off. I don't know what it is about the Sixers. About they don't want local talent on the team. Um, Zaire Smith, people have been doubting him, and it's usually the players that get doubted the most that end up doing the most. That sometimes usually do great things in their career. And he's young. He's just entering the NBA. So I say give him some chance. Give him a chance. He's not horrible. He's not terrible. Let's see where he fits in. Let's see what he does. Can't write a player off. He just started in his career. He's all young. He's fresh. Like I think Sixers fans should just give him a chance. Let him prove himself. And then maybe 5, 6 years later, then you can make your first judgments. But you can't really make your judgments, and he hasn't played in the league yet. So give it some time. Let his career blossom. Let his qualities grow so he can show his abilities. But I don't think he's terrible. I think he's just misunderstood concerning him as a player.
All right. Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, my bad. Something happened with my phone. No, I don't think we're being too hard on Zaire Smith because I really wanted the local kid, man. I just wanted him to come here, man. And his mom works in the organization, and I get it. Why they probably didn't want him here, a local talent, because they didn't probably want him to be distracted. They want him to focus on ball, and that's a huge risk you taking if you take a local guy, and it's kind of it might be a little unfair to him because the expectations may be really high, whereas though he can just
like focus on basketball and not worry about what everybody else is thinking, and especially when you come into that money, you're an instant millionaire, so everybody calling you, everybody need tickets to the game, so the Sixers don't have to deal with that and all types of stuff. So, uh, I just hope Zaire Smith is everything that we hope to be, and he exceeds our expectations. So I don't think we're being too hard on him. No, I don't, because we wanted our local guy. It's just that simple.
Yes and no. I think some of us were being too hard. I mean, I think that I did a whole podcast to Roy and I and Amina full of emotion. And after a week, taking a step back for a week, I think the Sixers, even though I don't like it, it was a smart move to get that draft pick from Trey's Miami Heat. And like 2021 is going to be a big year because that's the year that high school talent can come into the NBA. So that draft pick is very, very important. Plus, it's unprotected and it'll probably be a first round draft pick because by then the Heat are expected to be a lottery team. Now, will they be? Who knows? But the Heat are expected to suck by then. So that could very well be a good pick. It could be a money pick. And they're trying to use it to get Kawhi Leonard or somebody else, maybe Kemba Walker. Who really knows what the Sixers are gonna turn that pick into? So, I think that we were a little bit hard on Zaire Smith because, as I said to some of my church members on Sunday, some of them know him as not Mikal Bridges. So Zaire Smith could be a very good player. He could be a highlight reel player for us, and we definitely know we need more highlight reel players, especially at the shooting guard position, because JJ Redick, even though I love him, he's just a 3-point shooter, a sniper, which is great. But we need more than just that. We need somebody who can get their own shot, crossover, get a dunk, get the crowd amped, and that's not JJ Redick, but that is Zaire Smith. And if he can come in and improve his shot, get a consistent 3-pointer and play good, consistent defense and be a real good player for us, then I'll be happy. And, I'm happy for him. He's a Sixer. I got to cheer for him. I don't want him to fail. But I definitely think that some of us were a little too hard on him because, like we said, he was not Zaire Smith. There's nothing wrong with wanting local talent, but I think some people took it a little too far last week. And this week, after taking a step back, I think that it was a good, smart decision by the Sixers, even though I didn't like how they handled it. I did want Mikal Bridges on the squad because I think he's the more ready player for right now. But if the Sixers want to take a project and believe they can turn a project into gold, more power to them. Because as Matt would say if he was here, Brett Brown does a good job developing players, so I'm happy if he can do a good job and develop him into a superstar. Hey, I'm excited, and I might get his jersey. Trey, you had something to say?
Yeah, it's funny because this situation kind of reminds me of Evan Turner on the Sixers. Because taking a step back and looking at it, Evan Turner is not I would not say he's a bum. Is he great? No. He was great at Ohio State, and when he got to the Sixers, he was not he wasn't a great player. But he is a playmaker, and at that point he began to develop somewhat of a corner three. Hustled, played defense, right? But wasn't much of a shooter. But as Sixers fans, as we always do, we put a lot of pressure on our players to do well. And I think that was part of the reason why Evan Turner ended up, out of town, right? Part of it was, we had Thaddeus Young at the same time, and I think it's the same type of pressure on Zaire Smith to be a good player right away, and to live up to the hype. Now, Zaire Smith is not as hyped a player as Evan Turner was, because Evan Turner was all that at Ohio State, and that's why he was the number one pick in the draft. But I think maybe it is too much pressure on Zaire Smith, but I think it's it's the right type of pressure on Zaire Smith because, or not the right type of pressure. It's the pressure that all Sixers players get. Like, I mean, we put pressure on Joel Embiid. We put pressure on Ben Simmons. We put pressure on Jahlil Okafor. And Jahlil Okafor couldn't live up to the pressure or the hype. And so that's why he's not in Philly anymore. Evan Turner didn't live up to his hype of the player he was supposed to be when he came out of Ohio State. That's why he's not here anymore. Thaddeus Young didn't live up to his hype. You know, and for better or for worse, you know, Philly fans put pressure on their players, and in sometimes it works out and the person pans out and they end up being a great player, and sometimes it doesn't. You know, Andre Iguodala was a great player while he was here, but at a certain point, we said, you know, it was time for him to go, and he ended up going to Denver because I think he was part of the trade with Andrew Bynum. So he ended up in Denver and moved around, and then ended up in a perfect situation with the Warriors. So we'll see what happens with Zaire Smith. I think he's going to be a very good player. The question is whether or not the trade will pan out and work in the Sixers' favor, because he could very well be okay here, but then get traded and be great somewhere else. But what we want is for that, you know, for the Sixers to have proven us wrong with this trade, that Mikal Bridges is not as good as Zaire Smith. Zaire Smith turns out to be great for this team, and then that draft pick actually comes in handy later on.
Amina, did you go yet? Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. Moving right along then. So guys, started free agency at 11:59, maybe a little later, but we'll just amend the question and we'll answer the last two right now. Well, first question: will Kawhi Leonard be a Sixer by the start of free agency, or maybe by the end of the month of July? And also, the Sixers strike out on all the big name free agents. Would you consider that a failure? I'll start. I do think Kawhi Leonard will be a Sixer, because right now, if you look at it, it's just between LA and Philly, because Danny Ainge has come out and said that do not expect a blockbuster trade between the Celtics and the Spurs. So if the Celtics are out, that really just leads, it's basically Philly versus LA, because it's between the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Sixers. And I believe the Clippers are completely out of it. So it's the Sixers and the Lakers. And so I think that the Sixers can put together a very good package, especially for those of you that have been living under a rock. And I know the last couple of questions we've gone real in the weeds. So I want you non-basketball fans that listen to this to be able to understand this. So long story short, Kawhi Leonard, he's the superstar player for the San Antonio Spurs. They are on the outs, the Spurs and him, because there were a lot of things that happened. They challenged him about his injury. Now he doesn't want to play for them anymore. And so it's a very high possibility that the Sixers could land, is between the Sixers or the Lakers, could land Kawhi Leonard and possibly sign him to a big free agent deal next year. So, and y'all have to excuse what's going on in the background. If you hear a gun shooting, my dad's watching a movie, so excuse that. So the Sixers have a good chance, and I do think that the Sixers are the favorite because they can offer the most between the Lakers and the Sixers for him. So I think that he will be a Sixer maybe not by the start of free agency, but at least by the end of free agency, or the first month of free agency in July. So I definitely think that. And if the Sixers strike out on all the big name free agents, would I consider that a failure? I wouldn't. I would not, because listen, the Sixers just got to the playoffs, just won 52 games. I've said it before, they need a third scorer. They don't necessarily need a superstar. Like I said, LeBron is a want, not a need. I definitely think that fit-wise, it would be better for them to either get Kawhi Leonard or Paul George. But I know I just heard a rumor that they want Jabari Parker. I think Jabari Parker, if he can stay healthy, could be a really good pickup for the Sixers. I also want them to get Kemba Walker because if you need a third option who can score and somebody who can play point guard or shooting guard, you can get Kemba Walker. We got enough assets for that too. So I think that if they can get Jabari Parker or a good free agent or a trade for a player like a CJ McCollum, maybe a Damian Lillard, who knows? They can do all that, then I don't consider that a failure. But if they get nobody, no, I don't consider that a failure. But they do need to add somebody, even if it's a supplementary player like Jabari Parker. They got to add somebody who can be a third option, who can create their own shot, who can play defense, and who can shoot. And Jabari Parker can definitely do 2 of the 3. He can shoot, and he can play defense when he's healthy. So if the Sixers can get him, I'm happy. Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a Sixer as well. I think that relationship he has with Brett Brown is gonna move mountains to get him here. And what team is set up right now for you to compete with Golden State better? It's not gonna be Cleveland because LeBron's not gonna stay. Him and Dan Gilbert have run their course. That whole thing with him firing the GM and everything is just. And then, with Kyrie being gone, it doesn't make it easier. It makes it a tougher situation for him to stay there. He has to attract people, and at this point, he shouldn't have to attract anybody. Dude, I'm gonna work hard with you. I'm gonna give you my all. So it's just sometimes it's just time to close that chapter and move on to the next chapter. I'm excited to see when Kawhi comes here, and I hope. LeBron joins him. But if it's not LeBron, I hope it's Paul George, somebody. We listen, all the help. We need all the help in the world. And I hate to say this to beat Golden State. Them dudes, man. Dudes is a beast, man. They just you're gonna need some top scorers, man. You're gonna need some top scorers.
I'm sorry, guys. Go ahead, Trey.
I think for Kawhi Leonard, it would be very hard for him to go anywhere else but LA. However, I could see him going to the Sixers because of the relationship with Brett Brown. And then them signing him in the offseason. But again, they have to have the right pieces in place to be able to trade for him. Now I think the key with Kawhi Leonard or with the Sixers getting somebody is, because it could be a CJ McCollum, or it could be, another guard or like a Kemba Walker. But as far as Kawhi Leonard is concerned, the Spurs are not going to trade him anywhere unless they get, they want the best offer, right? And if whoever Kawhi Leonard gets traded to is going to be a team that they feel that the Spurs feel and the other team feels is going to stay there. They're not going to trade him to. If I'm the Sixers, I'm not going all out for Kawhi Leonard if I don't feel that he would want to stay in Philly. Because if I'm a team where I feel like he doesn't want to stay, he's a free agent after next season, and he could just leave and go to LA. So if I'm the Sixers, I need to know that Kawhi Leonard would want to stay in Philly long term and would want to sign a contract, a new contract after the end of the season.
Because I hear that a lot. I think that the Sixers should take a risk, just like the Oklahoma City Thunder did, and I think they're relying on this relationship And I agree with Trey. Y'all know me as a cautious person, or Pop as Dre affectionately calls me. Like, y'all know when it comes to basketball, the Sixers, I want caution. But to me, listen, scared money don't make no money. So I think the Sixers should take a risk. Um, I think that they should go after. I was about to say Markel Fultz should go after Kawhi Leonard, and I think that they'll be able to get him. And I think just like the Thunder took a risk, and now they have a very very high chance of keeping Paul George in OKC instead of sending him to LA. I think the Sixers should take that risk. Brett Brown already has a good relationship with Kawhi Leonard, and if that can blossom, and if he loves playing with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, I think that he's definitely guaranteed to sign that super max deal with the Sixers. But plus, I'm all for anything that keeps the Lakers from getting anybody big. So go ahead, Amina.
Yes, realistically, I see Kawhi Leonard most likely coming to be a Sixers. One in part due to his relationship with Sixers coach Brett Brown. I think his personality would fit well with the city and the team. He's what the team may need to move forward. He's not a free agent until next summer. Let's get that straight. 2019, he's a free agent. So between now and in the next 12 months, he could play around with what he's where he's gonna go, what he's gonna do, if he's gonna stay in San Antonio until he's a free agent. We don't know until he makes an announcement. But nevertheless, wherever he goes, if he just decides to leave San Antonio this year, a year before his free agency starts, I think he needs to go to a city where he's not going to be a rental player. He needs to be somewhere long term. A team doesn't need somebody that's just going to be there for 8 months for a season and they're gone, especially the Sixers, being as though they're no longer in the rebuild phase. They're in the let's get over the second round of playoffs mode. So they need long term people to help flourish that goal. And if Kawhi Leonard wants to come here after he talks to his agent or whatnot, he needs to look at it long term, not a short term. Oh, let me be here for a year, let me leave. The Sixers, they need veteran players. They need maybe two veteran players on the team to really get the ball going. So maybe soon, next 1 to 3 years, they may be finals contenders. But Kawhi Leonard, I don't see the hype with him going to LA. It's the same reason why it's the same hype reasons that people want LBJ to go to LA. It's not happening. Kawhi Leonard is not going to Los Angeles. I don't see it happening. It's too much NBA history and honor to uphold over there. Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, Wilt Chamberlain, just to name a few. It's too much pressure to uphold that, to be a star player in the NBA today, to carry on this big star legacy in LA in the modern era. It's too much. I think Kawhi Leonard just wants to be a part of a team where he's not the focal point of the team. He just wants to be somewhere where his teammates aren't talking behind his back with the front office of the team that he's on. Hashtag San Antonio Spurs. He just wants to be somewhere where he could just be a part of an organization, no drama, no frills, chill, laid back, and that's what he can get in Philadelphia. So I pray, I hope that he takes advantage of the opportunities that are going to be coming his way for the sake of his career and move forward. And he's not that bad of a player either. So whatever team he lands on, they'll be blessed to have him because the Spurs have not missed the playoffs in his 7-year career since he got drafted in 2011. He's the reason why that team has been in the playoffs the last few seasons. So whatever team he goes to, they'll be blessed to have him. But he just needs to think long term, not short term, hit it and quit it. He needs to think about things real deep.
All right, moving right along. We're gonna save the 2 LeBron questions for later. So guys, are the Packers the team to beat? And I know the question says NFC East, but that's obviously a mistake. Are the Packers the team to beat in the NFC? Go ahead, Andre.
Depends if Aaron Rodgers is playing. If Aaron Rodgers is playing, yeah, they team to beat. But his ass ain't healthy and they ain't playing. He ain't playing. No, they ain't the team to beat. Listen, every team is a team to beat. When we you're an Eagles fan, we want to win. We want to have a perfect season. We want to enjoy every victory. The season takes forever to come. I just can't wait for it to come. And I wish it. Listen, they always pushed me to the part where I was gonna boycott the NFL, but man, my team is playing so well. I know it sounds so selfish, and I'm not representing for the culture, but man, I waited so long for this, man. So every team is a team to beat. So the hell with the damn Packers. It's all about the Eagles, baby.
Trey. Trey, you there?
Yes. I'm sorry. My dad was talking to me. We moved on to what are the Packers the best team in the team to beat in the East or in the NFC?
In the NFC.
Yeah. So I mean, it's funny that's a funny question because I mean, for in any sport, your opponent is the team to beat. But as far as um as far as the Packers go, I mean, I do like the Packers. I've always liked the Packers. They were a team I liked to use in and and Madden, and they're always a solid team because of Aaron Rodgers. However, the problem is that um that Aaron Rodgers in recent years has not had a lot of help around him. And that's unfortunate, but that's how it's been for the last couple of years. And I think that the Packers are going to be a solid team, but I mean, if you're looking for a team, if you're talking about a vendetta or, this is the team. If we don't beat anybody else, I want to beat somebody. I don't think that's the Packers. And if you're talking about the NFC, if you're talking about a team that I'm looking down my schedule and I say, oh, out of all the teams on my schedule, the team I want to beat, it has to be the Sixers because they won the championship and it was unprecedented. Nobody at the beginning of the season, everybody said, not well, I won't say everybody, but the majority of news, people, sportscasters, even us, said the Sixers are going to be average. They'll be 9-7 and maybe 10-6, and if they get 10-6, it might be we were banking on the Sixers being. We were banking on this being a weird year where a team could go 10-6
Are you
and
saying the
still miss the
Sixers and you
playoffs.
mean the Eagles?
Huh?
Did you say the Sixers and you mean the Eagles?
Yeah, I must have said Sixers. I'm talking about the Eagles. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, we were literally like, I don't know if y'all remember. This was maybe 6 years ago. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is back when they had Josh Freeman as their quarterback. If y'all remember that. And they went 10-6 and ended up missing the playoffs. And we've done it. The Eagles have done it before. I almost said Sixers again, where we've gone 10-6 and missed the playoffs. We were banking on the Eagles going 9-7 or 10-6, potentially making the playoffs or maybe missing the playoffs, by half a game or something like that. And even if they made the playoffs, we were like, the expectation is really only to win one game or even just play well in one playoff game. And they blew those expectations out of the water. So to me, the team that you're looking at, if I'm a head coach or I'm the starting quarterback on a team in the AFC or in the NFC, and I'm looking at teams and I say, out of all the NFC teams, I want to beat the Eagles. I want to beat the Eagles because they won the championship. It was unprecedented, and they won the Super Bowl with their backup quarterback. So once Carson Wentz is healthy, I think it becomes even more. The Eagles become even more of a target once Carson Wentz comes back because they're like, oh, y'all don't got your backup quarterback in. Now y'all got your starting quarterback in. So y'all should be just that much better. But I'm still looking at them as a team to beat in the East. Or not, I keep saying in the East. The Eagles are still a team to beat in the NFC. And with that, I actually have to hop off the podcast we got some people. My little sister's birthday is today, so we got to start cleaning up the house. We got some people coming over, so it's good talking, being on the podcast, and I'll see you guys later.
Happy birthday.
I will. Peace out.
All right. Who we at? Go ahead, Amina.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Concerning the Packers, it's a interesting question. Aaron Rodgers typically doesn't have a lot of help at times, so it'll be interesting to see how their season goes for one. But the Packers are in the NFC North, and this offseason, they've been doing a lot of roster changes on those teams. And the NFC North is Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, and Minnesota Vikings. I know the Lions definitely have made great moves this offseason. The Vikings a little bit, Bears a little bit, Packers not so much, but I don't see the hype of the Packers right now. I don't see them being any type of major contender for anything right now. But yes, for right now, because the Eagles won the Super Bowl, it's fair game to beat the Eagles. But the NFC in itself, I don't see where the Packers would be any type of competition with the Eagles right now. Maybe I will have to see how the season goes, but right now I don't see how or why there should be any type of competition. They have nothing to compare each other to right now. You got Aaron Rodgers versus the Eagles with two quarterbacks basically right now. One isn't even cleared to play games, really. So that's what I have to say about that.
Let me just say this. And Packers Twitter, you can come for me if you want. At Colin W. Watson. But I said it earlier. I'm saying it again right now because I want somebody to say something. Aaron Rodgers is the biggest underachiever with all that talent I have ever seen since Peyton Manning. You know, how can you only have one Super Bowl ring and you're supposedly, when healthy, the best quarterback ever? You know, I just think this. I think Aaron Rodgers is a really good quarterback when healthy, but he hasn't been healthy, so he doesn't deserve his spot as a top 2, top 3 quarterback. He's definitely top 5, but he's not top 2, top 3. I mean, I think Drew Brees is better than him because Drew Brees is like an Iron Man. He's always healthy. Tom Brady, unfortunately. I think that there's a bunch of quarterbacks that are way more consistent and that do a lot better. And I think that the Packers are going to get destroyed by the Vikings. I don't know. I got this question off of ESPN because somebody at ESPN thinks that the Packers are better than the Eagles. And let me just stop that noise right now. The Eagles got Michael Bennett, added to a vaunted defense, added Haludi Nada to that vaunted defensive line. So right now you're looking at Michael Bennett, Fletcher Cox, Haludi Nada. You're looking at a very, very destructive defensive line. And then you got cornerbacks. We still got Ronald Darby. This is going to be our first full year of Sidney Jones being healthy. Most people don't know that Sidney Jones is probably going to be the best cornerback in that draft from last year. Sidney Jones is going to come in. He's going to be our number 2 quarterback. Jalen Mills is going back to the slot where he belongs. And you got Ronald Darby in his second year trying to prove something so he can get his money next year. You know, the Eagles defense is vaunted. It's good. You know, it had one bad game in which, you know, Tom Brady threw for 500 yards, but it's Tom Brady, and that's not going to happen with the Packers. The Packers don't have an offensive line. We're going to be able to attack. I don't even think we play the Packers this year, but if we did, I think the Packers are good. They got Jimmy Graham, but the Mike McCarthy isn't known for using his tight ends, so that's negated right there. You know, there's so many. They've made good changes, but they gotta face the Minnesota Vikings and the NFC North. They're the NFC. Y'all think the NFC East beat up each other? Man, the NFC North beats each other up every year. Every year, the NFC North, it comes down to like the final 2 games where who's going to be a top 2 or a top 3 seed and who's going to the wild card. So, the Packers are not the team to beat. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And until somebody beats the Eagles when it matters in the playoffs, no, you're not the man. The Eagles are going to go at least to the NFC Championship game. They will be in back-to-back Super Bowls. I'm calling it now because there's no team in the NFC besides the Minnesota Vikings that's on the Eagles level, and maybe the Rams. Those are the top 3 teams in the NFC. The Eagles, the Vikings, and the Rams. Notice I didn't put the Packers anywhere near there. Want to know why? Because between the Eagles, Vikings, and Rams, that's the top 3 defenses in the NFL last year. You know? No. Aaron Rodgers, the NFC has upgraded, has 3 of the top 3 defenses in the NFC are the Eagles, Rams, and Vikings. All 3 went far in the playoffs. And you want to talk about upgrades. Y'all seen the Rams? Aqib Talib, and Ndamukong Suh. Like, the Packers aren't even a top 4 team in the NFC. I got the Vikings above them. I got the Rams above them. And of course I got my Eagles above them. Please. The Packers are the best team in the NFC. If everybody on the Eagles gets injured and it's just the second string and the third string, if everybody on the Rams gets injured and it's just the second string and the third string, and if everybody on the Vikings gets injured and it's just second string, third string. That's the only way the Packers are the best team in the NFC. Get out of here with that. Moving on to our next question. So, the NFLPA has been looking into their legal options when it comes to the new anthem policy. So, guys, are we headed for a big legal battle over this new policy? Go ahead, Amina.
Yes, we are looking at a possible legal situation regarding the anthem policy with the NFL. And all ties into Colin Kaepernick. He still has his pending lawsuit for contusion against the NFL. He also has a federal subpoena against our president and vice president Trump and Pence for conspiring with the owners of these teams not sign him to a team. We have people, including myself, that are sitting out watching the coming season if he's not signed. So ratings are going to be going down, and partly due to this. Um, and it's just all going to collapse at some point. I don't know when it may happen, but it's going to happen soon. The NFL just keeps exposing itself for what it is as an old thinking, non progressive, destitute sports league in America. They're getting replaced every day by the NBA. And it's about time. I mean, the NFL, they think they could tell people what to do, what they can't do. But up until about 10 years ago, players stayed in the locker room for the anthem. But the folks complaining about the protests don't even realize that the federal government has is one of the major sponsors of the NFL through the military. That's all that is. They don't know that though. So yes, we're headed for legal battle over this policy, but at the root of it is the federal government because they are paying the NFL to have the players be on the field for this madness known as the Star Spangled Banner. If we could just go back to how the NFL was prior to 10 years ago when they were just be in the locker room, we wouldn't be having this conversation lately. But it's going to get to a point where people are just going to be fed up and take matters into their own hands. And it's been a time coming. People are noticing things. People are waking up to things, and people are dealing with them in their own little way. So, legal battle, yes. When to be announced when it happens.
And I don't know, this just came to me, but do y'all think it's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court, or
I
you
think
think
it's
it's
gonna go. I think it's gonna go all the way to the Supreme Court because, like I just said about the federal government, they're paying these 32 teams for this madness for the last decade. So it's not a local or state issue; it's a federal issue. So it's gonna go all the way. It's boiling. It's breeding, and eventually it's gonna go all the way to the Supreme Court, and it's gonna be the biggest court case legal battle of sports history. It's gonna be. It's gonna go all the way.
all right, Andre?
I agree. I think it's gonna go always to the Supreme Court. You can't tell people, you can't govern people on how to do freedom of speech. You can't tell them they have to stand for an anthem. And help, I need to help note that the national anthem is racist. It talks about the original national anthem. They took those bars out, but it talks about slavery in it. So if somebody don't want to stand for that national anthem, listen, let's say God give them right. You know, we have a Statue of Liberty here in this country, in New York, that talks about accepting everybody. Give me your tired, your poor, you know. If we're not going to do that, then we need to scratch it off, and we need to start something new. We need to redo the Constitution, but we're not doing it. So therefore, They want to kneel on the national anthem. They want to put a They want to put a fist in the air. They should allow them to do that. Period. You can't tell people what to do during a national anthem. And the president needs to mind his business. He needs to worry about electing the Supreme Court justice. He needs to worry about immigration. He needs to worry about staying away from Putin. You know, it's stuff that really matters, man. Stop worrying about sports, man. That's none of your business. You're the president. Act like a president. Stop acting like the celebrity president. Act like the politician they appointed you to be.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry, guys. Let's see. I definitely think that there is a court battle brewing. The NFL is basically spread out because right now Colin Kaepernick's suing them, and they're spread out in about 2 or 3 courts because of that. So I think that the NFLPA would be smart to sue the league now before the season starts, so that you can get the process going. And I would definitely take it all the way up to the Supreme Court because this is, as Amina and Dre have said, this is a First Amendment freedom of speech issue. And like I said earlier, this is paid patriotism. I've said this a couple of podcasts ago, and paid patriotism usually doesn't stand because in most places, the government doesn't pay you to salute the flag and salute military service. It doesn't pay to advertise in your league. You notice the only league that has this type of deal is the NFL. Wonder why? There are certain things that you just don't do. And in this case, the NFL has bowed down to Donald Trump and 45 and Trump sexuals. And they will continue to be facing lawsuits from within and outside now for the rest of the time as long as that policy stands. They're going to be a lot of Supreme Court battles. They're probably going to lose because news just keeps coming out about how they screwed Colin Kaepernick, how 45 called some owners to make sure that they would screw Colin Kaepernick. So the more, like I said, it's about to be the KNFL soon. Kaepernick's National Football League. It's really about to be the KNFL soon. So y'all might as well get ready because there's a Supreme Court battle coming. The NFL is going to lose this lawsuit against Colin Kaepernick. And then what's most likely going to happen is Colin Kaepernick is going to sue 45, and then 45 will end up in court and then be deposed, and he'll have to say, listen, or he'll probably lie like he always does and say, he'll say something that doesn't make sense, and they'll make it seem like he didn't try and screw Colin Kaepernick, and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of battles coming up, and it's going to be fun. I mean, I like basketball more than football anyway, so it's going to be great for me. And then eventually, in another 2 to 3 years, there's going to be a strike. So I hope a lot of you just football fans, you find another sport in the next 3 years because there's a strike coming because of this. So moving right along to our last serious NFL question. Brett Favre said he would not let his kid play football. And he's advocating for football to be outlawed for kids under 12. So is football going to die, guys? Go ahead, Amina.
I feel as though football is becoming obsolete, and that when I was growing up, me and Kylan came up in the same time, of growing up. In the inner city, there were a lot of little league football teams still at the rec centers, the playgrounds, the neighborhood, wherever you went to schools. A lot of schools in those days had um, little football leagues for in elementary and middle schools. But today you don't see that. I very rarely saw them. I may see one or two leagues here and there, but I'm not seeing them like I used to. I see still a lot of young boys with the basketball leagues, of course, in the inner city, but football is it's dying out, and it's partly because they're old, ancient. They don't want to progress. The CTE situation, Colin Kaepernick, our dear president, and other factors are playing into why the NFL is may eventually not exist anymore. Parents are not putting their sons in football. Even men who've been in the NFL, retired Super Bowl champs, that may have wanted to put their sons in football when they got older, they're saying, maybe you should go for a career or another sport." Parents aren't Parents don't want to put their sons in football anymore. And the NFL has no one to blame but itself. And if you have a large amount of parents that are not interested in having their sons in football, it impacts future NFL drafts because you can't draft people that are in their 30s and 40s. They're looking for people in their late teens and 20s. So the less and less young people that get involved with football, the less and less the draft will look flourishing. People waking up and seeing the truth about football as far as behind the scenes, and they don't like it too much football has to offer. On top of the fact that every time we turn around, some NFL player is involved in a domestic violence situation with a woman, sexual assault with a woman, taking opiate narcotics, and is being found in their urine and blood samples when they do testing on them. Getting arrested for whatnot. Dead bodies being found in their house. A lot of drama, unnecessary criminals running rampant on these teams over the years. Just a bunch of mess. No one wants to be involved in that. It's too much of a shaky organization these days in NFL. As the NFL is hanging by a thread, and that thread is not even a whole piece of thread. It's a part of a thread. As Kylan has said several episodes, several times, I've said it, other people have said it. After these legal cases are over, or even before that, NFL is going to go on strike, and it may last a long time. Who knows? The NFL may collapse one day. So, as Kylan just said before I spoke, all you people who only watch the NFL, who hate the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, y'all better find yourself a new sport to watch, or find something else to watch if it's not sport related. Because y'all ain't gonna have the NFL for too much longer. Tyler and I have talked about it, on and off. We give it 2 to 3 years tops for the NFL goes on a strike. It's coming. It's been talked about, and it's time for a strike. Whole lot of variables is why parents don't want their sons involved in football. And I agree because they say statistically, the earlier and more frequent you are involved with football, the greater your CTE chances are. Look at what happened with Aaron Hernandez. He died last April 2017. He started playing football at a very young age. He played football in every level of his life: elementary, middle, high, college, NFL. Football constantly in his life. He wasn't even 30 when he died. But when they did the autopsy on his remains, as far as his cranium, They said this man had the insides of somebody that's seen multiple tours of war and advanced in age, like 70, 80, 90 something years old. This man wasn't even 30. So if that doesn't tell anybody anything, I don't know what to tell them. Football is going out. Basketball is moving in.
Andre?
I totally agree. Football, man. Shout out to Brett Favre for taking the lead on this. I wrestle with the idea all the time. I love the game. I love the hits. Like, I grew up on the hits. But I would never allow my son at a young age to play football. I love him more than I love the game. And to take those hits, knowing what that's going to do to him, tells me tells him as a child, I don't really care about him, and I do care about him. So for any child, I don't want to see anybody going through brain damage. Like brain damage, like you only get one brain. It's not like you get like a million of these things. And you got to take care of it the best way you can. And like what Amina was saying, as far as like it's out of date and they're not changing with the culture, even with the whole national anthem stance. You know, they keep trying to stay to this model, to this 1950 model. When we were operating in 2018, that's never going to work. So the hell with football, you know? And I love my Eagles, but my Eagles got to go. They got to go. You know, if you're not good for the culture, you got to go.
Yeah, as Andre said, shout out to Brett Favre. The NFL's
I also gotta add into the fact that the NFL this week they recently came out and said that they're gonna be upgrading their helmet standards and guidelines. I don't know what that is, but at this point it's too late for CTE. So y'all can keep your helmet updates and guidelines to yourselves.
All right, shout out to Brett Favre, as Andre said. He was, for those of you that don't know who Brett Favre is, you don't have the benefit of YouTube or seeing him live, as we have. Brett Favre was an Iron Man. He had a lot of concussions, man, but he was an Iron Man. The only game he missed was a game because his dad died. That's how dedicated he was. I think he had a lot of concussions because Brett Favre would take a lot of hits. They did not take care of him in Green Bay, for real. They gave him no offensive line. They gave him a lot of playmakers at wide receiver, tight end, and running back, but they really didn't take care of him as far as the offensive line because I remember seeing a lot of bad hits that Brett Favre took. So Brett Favre probably has a concussion, and I don't want to say he does have CTE, but he has said, and you know, this used to be at one point the face of football before Tom Brady, before Peyton Manning. It was Brett Favre and John Elway. Those were the faces of football we sound old in our time. It was Brett Favre, John Elway, and Steve Young. Those were our faces of football. And Barry Sanders and a couple of others, and Jerry Rice, right? And to see that Brett Favre, a man who was the Iron Man, like there was no bigger Iron Man in football than Brett Favre. Like, and Brett Favre was that dude. And to see that Brett Favre is the one advocating, saying, I'm not letting my kids play football. After everything Brett Favre did and gave to football, man, I got to give him 2 hand claps for that, man. Because Brett Favre, like I said, he gave a lot to football, and he's still saying, you know, that you know, I still can't do football. I don't want my son playing football, and I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to be the face of getting football outlawed for everybody under 12. And I have to say bravo to Brett Favre, but I definitely think football is going to die. in more ways than one. I've said this on this podcast before. There's three ways. There's three things that's coming up in football is going to kill it. CTE, the fact that the youth participation rates are down, and the anthem stuff. And all three are combining to kill football. And I think it's too late, man. Football is going the way of the. I don't want to say that the NFL will go the way of the XFL, but the NFL is going to go. It's going to be down for a little bit, man, because of the dumb decisions that they made. So moving right along, guys. All right, we're going to hit up our last two questions, and then we're out of here. All right. So LeBron, this rumor came out yesterday that LeBron texted KD and asked him if he wanted to team up and go with him to LA. Now, if that happens, is that a weaker move than what KD did a couple years ago? Go ahead, Amina.
Yes, it would be. It would only put the cherry on the top of the ice cream sundae that would say that yes, I'm admitting I am a ring chaser. He did it with the Heat, did it when he went back to the Cavs, and he's trying to do it again. See, KD, he knew that he would never win anything with the Thunder, and it was apparent he was not going anywhere on the team with Russell Westbrook as far as winning any chips. And he's got 2 rings being on the Warriors, but LBJ is at the point of his career when he's realizing that no one really cares about what he does or doesn't do much anymore. He's not on a lot of people's radar anymore. He's not on in a lot of people's conversation other than his fans. It's a new era in the NBA, and he's still trying to be relevant with all these young players that we got coming up in the NBA right now. So he's doing anything in his power at this point to try to get a 4th ring. I don't think that he'll ever get another ring. I think he's done with chips. I don't see it happening. If he gets a 4th ring, it'll be his last. I don't see him getting one. He wants this 4th ring, and I don't know what he's trying to do anything in his power to get it. Right down to trying to recruit somebody to a team that they will never go to, from a team that just swept you. Isn't that interesting? It's the team that handed you the second sweep of your career. The audacity of being ultra desperate is all over his aura. He ain't going nowhere on the Cavs. He can't go back to Miami. He's in a desperate place right now. He can't go everywhere. So I think he should just go to a team, to the Sixers, and just chill and relax, help people out, and do that. But to hit up Kevin Durant, a player on a team that just swept you a few days ago, come on. You being desperate now, you just admitting that you're a ring chaser. You know, Kevin Durant got a better chance to get another ring than he do. That's what that's about.
Andre?
Laugh it up to the Ron Sexual on there.
Oh, here we go. She's getting his name on. With a real meaning. Please stand up. Oh man. LeBron teaming up with KD. When I saw that, I didn't even listen to the soundbite, read the article. I was like, man, this is like they just. I understand news days are slow, and you got to come up with stuff. But really, after he just lost, he got embarrassed by them dudes. You think he gonna go team up with the very guy that just embarrassed him? LeBron's never been that guy, man. Never. I don't know any sports player that went and teamed up with the guy that just embarrassed him. Like that's the guy you definitely want to beat. You know, he swept you. Wasn't like, all right, we fought it out. You know what I mean? And y'all, yeah, y'all got the best of us. They didn't win not one game, and they celebrated on their home floor. You know what I mean? Bragging. You know what I mean? And listen, when you win, you can do whatever you want. Rightfully so. But no way in the world, man. Like he gonna team up with that guy. It's just ludicrous. The storylines they come up with sometimes. Sometimes you got to do like Russell Wilson and just look at him and go, just turn your head, man. Just keep walking. Like y'all didn't have a better storyline than that, really? Y'all really thought we was gonna go for that? Ain't no way in the world. No way in the world.
Well, listen, if it did happen, it's the weakest move ever. If it didn't happen, then LeBron still stays where it is. But it seems like it did happen. That he felt out KD, not that he was looking to team up with him, but felt it out. And the rumor is that KD said that he just wants to pass LeBron. He's not even interested in teaming up with him. So, but if that is true, then LeBron definitely looks weak for doing that, especially for your direct competition. But if it didn't happen, then LeBron is LeBron. All right, he wants to team up. He wants to take the pressure off. He wants to one up KD. So, and it is what it is. But it does, if it did happen, it does seem weaker than what KD did as far as joining up with the Warriors. But it's literally the same thing. So moving right along to our last question. Do you guys think LeBron will be a Laker? Go ahead, Andre.
It's one of these good songs I like to sing when I hear a note like this. Hell to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, no, no. Thanks, man. You ain't nowhere in the world, cuz. He ain't trying to chase no Kobe legacy. Oh, sorry. He ain't trying to chase no Kobe legacy. He's trying to do his own thing. And LeBron has his own legacy. So for y'all to think that he's going to do that, it's another ludicrous thing, man. It's just like, no, man, nah. It's not going to happen. I don't care if Magic Johnson said, I'm going to give you all my theaters and put you in with my good friends and all that. Nah, man. LeBron don't want to do that. He don't want to go. I don't think he a West Coast guy, for real, for real. I think he'll live on the West Coast. Like, that's all right. That's one thing. But, I mean, it's just nice out there. But far as, like, playing out there, he takes pride in coming from the grit. And, I'm from Akron, Ohio. He says it proudly. Like, where everything is earned, nothing's given. When you from the West Coast, you can't be saying that type of stuff, man. I guess maybe you can say you're from Oakland because, that ain't all, palm trees and all that. That gang banging, they serious about that thing, man. They say you can't walk on certain sides of the street with certain colors. Like they don't play with that gang banging but hell no. Hell no. Hell no.
Amina?
Yeah, I'm here. I was taking myself off mute. No, to the Lakers. We talked about this episode, as well as I think another prior episode. The Lakers would not be a good fit for him, and I said it earlier in the episode. Too much history in the NBA for him to uphold. Too much honor. The Lakers are the team of Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, just to name a few, as I said earlier, it's too much. People would drag LBJ if he didn't get a ring with the Lakers, if he went there. He ain't gonna get one out there, but if he went out there, it would just be a death sentence for his career and his legacy. Don't take yourself running over to the Staples Center. The Staples Center ain't for you. Never has been, never will be. Don't even think about going to Los Angeles. Stay away from the Staples Center. He's not going to Los Angeles, so all y'all Lakers fans. I can get that out your head now. And y'all can continue enjoying Lonzo Ball and Big Baller Nation. Yeah, LBJ to the Lakers. I'm not. He got a better chance of staying in Cleveland, signing a new contract than he got going over here to the Lakers. He ain't going to no Lakers. LBJ got a moving truck in front of his house right now in Ohio. Bring your butt to the east to Philly. So you can save your career's reputation and your legacy. So you ain't looking too suspect. Come to Philly to protect your legacy. If you know what's good for you. If not, oh well.
Yeah, so this is point in the show where I make it a clean sweep. It's a no. He's not going to LA, like everybody said, because that legacy is just too much for him and the pressure. I mentioned this on the show, like, you know, you still the basic thing, even outside of that, is why would you want to go and have to deal with the Warriors even sooner? Maybe in the second round, maybe the first round, depending on where you go. No, you don't want to do that. You just want to stay where you are.
And the Lakers are in California with the Warriors, so it's too close of a location. So a team that just swept you, so it's disrespect to yourself.
Yeah, it's not even just that. It's just all the pressure and the fact of, like I said, why, as I've said on this show and shows before that, why would you want to lose to the Warriors even sooner? You know, and like I said, Magic Johnson has to be given credit because nobody was even thinking about the Lakers last year, and this year they're the number one destination on a lot of people's minds in quotation marks. But I don't think he's coming there. I don't think he'll be a Laker. I've said it before. I think he'll be a Sixer, even though I don't think fit-wise it works. But whatever, he's going to be a Sixer most likely. And he's going to stay in the East because, like I said, he's been dropping clues. My favorite player is Allen Iverson. My favorite player right now is Carson Wentz. I mean, I don't think you can get more like, I'm coming here than that. So, I just think that it's he's not going to be a Laker. But all you delusional Lakers fans, you keep thinking he's coming there. You're probably going to end up getting DeMarcus Cousins, some other low-level free agents, and maybe Chris Paul, and that's it. So, so that about wraps up our show, except for one thing. All right, guys, I am very much pleased to announce that I have been accepted to Syracuse University. A lot of people on the show, Trey, Dre, everybody know that already. This is the first time I'm announcing it to you guys as an audience. So I will be leaving tomorrow for Syracuse and to start school. So as a result of that, this may be at least for between this weekend and next weekend will be my last full-time show on the podcast. And so I will be turning over duties on the podcast and on WatsonSportsTapes.com to a combination of three people. Trey, Matt, and Mina will be running both this podcast and both this and the site as well. As I head on to school, and I'll still be very much involved, but more in a behind the scenes role and occasionally on the podcast, depending on what school will allow. But I really want to thank Andre, Amina, everybody who's been a part of this and helping this podcast to grow. We've been achieving the last 4 shows over 100 views. So definitely thank you guys for that. As an audience, thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. The show will be in good hands. We are looking for a full-time member. So you can definitely hit me up at Kyler W. Watson. We can gauge your sports knowledge based on that, because I definitely want to leave. It's already in good hands, but we definitely want a full-time person who can commit to being available on Saturday at 1, or depending on schedules, when they call. So definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, so I want to thank God, first of all, for the opportunity. I want to thank y'all for growing this podcast and bringing your unique personalities, bringing your audience, bringing your sports love, and the show will continue to grow. You can still check out WatsonSportsTakes.com. I still will be available for that. Just more to the side now because of school and everything. But I'll definitely still be growing in free agency. So check out articles written by, I think most people will want to write an article. So definitely hit us up if you want to contribute as well. But that officially is the sign off for this weekend, the end of the 90th episode of the Crossover Sports Podcast. Thank you all for coming through. Have a great weekend. If you're on the East Coast, the Philly, Delaware, New Jersey, New York area, and Maryland on down, definitely stay hydrated. Go to the beach. Do what you need to do. Have a great weekend and enjoy your 4th of July. Deuces.
Have a great weekend.